be a bumpy ride. Strap in. It's going to be a bumpy ride. I thought that was the beginning of my program right there. I know this is coming as a surprise to a lot of people. They're sitting at home going, wait a minute, Gilbert's back on the air. Yes, Gilbert is back on the air. We are back. I'm here to talk about so many things. There are a lot of things I wanted to talk about. I've wanted to get back. We like to take a little break over the summer. April 15th is usually, or thereabout. However, that usually falls the Saturday before, the Saturday after April 15th. We try to do our last program for the season, take a little break, and come back in the fall. I usually come back a little later in the fall, but there's a lot going on, and there's a lot I wanted to be a part of, and there's a lot I wanted to inform the people about. Now, who am I? My name's Gilbert Carmona. I am an enrolled agent. An enrolled agent is a person enrolled with the Internal Revenue Service. My power comes from the federal government to help people with all kinds of problems. I prepare tax returns. I solve tax issue problems. I help in audits. I'm also a financial planner. I do investments. I help people plan for their retirement. And what a better person to do it than the person that does your taxes. I like every year I see those statements that come from the different financial places that say, please consult your tax advisor. Well, I am the tax advisor, so let me handle the investments too. I do both things. The program is Gilbert Talks Taxes. I like to talk about whatever. There's a lot going on. I've gotten a lot of phone calls about the IRS hiring 87,000 armed auditors. Okay, I'm here to throw a wet blanket on that. That's actually not what's getting ready to happen. I will talk about that, and people are concerned, and I believe people. I believe that people are genuinely concerned. People are genuinely worried. I'm going to get into that. Okay, but getting back to what I do, I'm a tax preparer and I'm a financial planner. And what's happened, the environment that we're in right now, is that every financial decision has a tax consequence. I mean, it's been that way before, but not like now. Now, it used to be people would come to me and say, I did this, I sold this, I bought that, I invested in this. What do I owe in taxes? Now, people call me, I'm thinking about buying and you fill in the blank. And whatever it is, everything from a house to a car to having children to sending their children to colleges. I've said this before on the air, and I've told people my degree is in accounting and business administration with a minor in computer science. I should have majored in counseling because that's what I end up doing. And financial plans tend to be more counseling sessions between husband and wife to reconcile what it is they want to do in retirement. Because such a big component of it is the tax component, what is going to happen. So, my telephone number, let me get all this out of the way, Tom, and I've got an important announcement, a very important announcement. I'm going to go ahead and make it right now. My telephone number, by the way, is 828-289-9300. If you need to reach me, you can call us. We're still preparing tax returns. I'm going to talk about the deadlines. We've got two very important, really three, but two of them are very important deadlines coming up. That's why I'm back on the air. But we have an office right here in Rutherfordton at 113 Whitesides Road, right next to the station here. I've got another office in Tryon, 226 South Trade Street, and it still is the beautiful Art Deco building right off the historic downtown Tryon. But now, Tom, are you ready for this? Now, we have our third location, and it's kind of semi-open. I say semi-open because we have done a super slow. Somebody said, are you going to have a grand opening? I told them every day I unlock that door is a grand opening. But we've only been there now about 7 weeks, maybe 8. I lost track. We haven't gotten our sign up yet because of whatever, making a decision, to getting materials, to getting all the issues that are going around. Well, it took us 9 months to remodel the building. So we are at, 9 months. Tom, if you can believe it, I had to wait 16 weeks for the windows. And then when they came, 2 of them were wrong, and they broke the other 2. They broke 2 installing them, and 2 of them were wrong. So that's okay. That's okay. These things happen in large construction projects. But we are at, you ready for it? 704 Oak Street, Forest City. It used to be the former, it is the former, it used to be Carter Bank. Carter Bank sold that building, put it up for sale April. We had been looking for a Forest City location. We've actually been looking for just a bigger office. They're hard to find in this county. There just aren't that many, or there isn't that many. There aren't that many commercial office spaces. They aren't in strip malls, because I really didn't want to be in a strip mall. We're more of a personalized service. What I do is very one-on-one, and we are very involved with our clients, and we just believe that's the way to do financial planning. We believe that's the way to do complicated tax preparation. Everybody talks about everything's in the cloud now. Everything's in the cloud, Tom. I don't know if you noticed, but everything's in the cloud. But that's not true. Everything's not in the cloud. We're still one-on-one. We still believe in talking to people. We still believe in meeting with people. Now, there are people that after we meet, have our initial meet, our contacts, a lot of what we do over the phone. We do through email. We've done a few Zoom calls and whatever, Microsoft Teams. We've used a different technology, but it's still about the people, and it's still about spending time with the people and finding out what the people need. So that's why we wanted a location. We wanted a larger location that we could do this. And Tom, you didn't ask me the question. The question that everybody asks me when I tell them that I bought a bank building and turned it into an office. What is the question? What's the first question that comes to your mind? Tom's just looking at me thinking. I see the Rolodex going. What did you do with the vault? We were going to get rid of it, but when the contractor told me the walls were 18 inches of solid concrete with rebar every 4 inches, we said, yeah, let's just go ahead and keep that thing. Let's just go ahead and keep it. I turned it into a conference room. It's beautiful. I think I have the only vault conference room in probably a 5-county area. I'm just going on a limb there and saying that. But it's beautiful. It really is. And we want to thank Carlson Farmer for doing the work. Chris did a fantastic job. Chris did a fabulous job. And just all the people that worked on it, we just can't thank all of you enough. We're very happy with it. We hope to have our signs up pretty soon, so you'll be able to find us. But we are at 704 Oak Street. One telephone number gets you an appointment at any of our 3 locations. I've got to get used to saying that now. 3 locations. So that phone number is 828-289-9300. And I actually am spending time, I still spend 1 day a week. I'm in Tryon every 1 day a week pretty consistently when it's not tax season. During tax season, I do have appointments there. So we're still covering all the other offices, but we are so excited about this. And I want to welcome those of you live streaming this morning. I do not want to forget you. Live streaming, www.wcab59.com. Good morning, those of you out there seeing us here in the Blue Room. The Blue Room, and it's very blue this morning. Where do I go now, Tom? Now, we've got our commercials all lined up. We have a couple of new spots. We have some new commercials, and some of our sponsors have said they're going to be getting by here this week to make some new commercials, and some came and made some new commercials. So I'm excited about hearing these. I'm going to talk this morning. I'm going to hit a little bit on Social Security and what's going on with Social Security. I want to talk a little bit about, not a little bit. I'm going to talk a lot bit about Social Security. I'm going to talk again about capital gains. We're still having a lot of people selling their homes. We're having a lot of activity there. There has been an increase in interest rates, but that really hasn't killed it yet, which people were concerned it would. It's definitely slowed it down. But people are still making incredible gains And I'm going to talk about that because there's a little confusion as to what capital gains are and how they impact when you sell your primary residence. But let me get into, before our first break, let me get into deadlines. What's a Gilbert Talks Taxes program without talking about deadlines? No, yeah, I know, Tom. I'm like you. I'm shocked. September 15th, so a little over a month and 2 days, you have the deadline for 1120S. That's S Corp election LLCs and corporations or partnerships. If you're filing a tax form 1120S, that deadline is September 15th, and that is assuming you filed an extension back from March 15th. Now, if you didn't file an extension, you're late, plain and simple, and the penalty is a monthly penalty per member or per partner on those, okay, for the 1120S. If you filed an extension, you're good. We just got to get it done. As far as I know, we are all caught up on our 1120Ss. I think there's a couple that need to be wrapped up, but as far as anything that we haven't gotten to, I'm pretty sure we're caught up. But if you haven't done yours yet, and you filed an extension, and you need somebody to do it, call me, 828-289-9300. Otherwise, remember, you got to get that thing done by the 15th of September, or you will get substantial penalties and fines and penalties and more fines. And those compound monthly, per partner or per member. So those add up really fast. The other one that's due September 15th is partnerships, 1065s. You're not being taxed as an S corporation, okay? Partnerships, 1065s. Those are due September 15th. Those also have a penalty per partner per month that they're late. The extension for those was also March 15th, okay? So those have got to be done, and those have got to be in. Right now, we're telling people, if you're a new client, we're telling people, I really need to get you in the workflow. I may not need all your documents right now, but I need to know that we're going to be doing this because this calendar is going to fill up very, very fast. It's already pretty full, but it's going to max out where I can't take any more clients pretty soon. You at least need to let us know. I will need all documents. I will need all the paperwork, the P&L statements, balance sheets, whatever y'all have, probably no later than the last week of this month. So we're looking at that. We're looking at the 23rd, 24th, 25th at the latest if we're going to get this tax return prepped for you. Again, it depends how complicated it is. I'm talking about simple ones right now. If it's too complicated, you already may be too late. The next deadline, October 15th. That is for everybody else. All the individuals, your 1040 filers, all the individuals that filed. And what happened with those this year was because we had 2 years of automatic extensions, a lot of people were a little confused, and a lot of people didn't reach out to us about filing extensions. So there's a lot of people who didn't get extensions filed. They, for some reason, thought they had till June because of the prior year, or they thought they had till May because of last year, and it really confused people. And they said, well, aren't we doing that again? No, we're not doing that again. The deadline was April 15th. Now, if you missed that deadline, you did not file your tax return or did not file an extension by April 15th, as long as you're getting a refund, you're okay. You're going to get your refund, no problem. There's no penalty, no interest, no anything. But if you owe money, that's where you're really going to get hit. And you're going to get hit double because you did not file an extension. So if you did file an extension, you need to just get in there and let's get it done. But if you did file an extension, we have until October 15th. Those we're going to start cutting off probably sometime in the middle of September if we don't get them, because those do take a little bit of time to pull together. So let us know. If you have not done these and you need them done, give me a call, 828-289-9300. 888-878-5300. Now, I said there was a third deadline. That's more of a minor one. May 15th was the deadline to file not-for-profits. So if you filed for an extension, you have till November 15th for not-for-profits. And I say those are minor because typically they are. Most not-for-profits usually are pretty on top of their 990 filing. Those are a little bit simpler. I mean, again, it depends on the complexity. Very few of those usually get extended. We can usually get those done. It's after the April deadline, so those tend to be simpler for us because I do quite a bit of those. I told you earlier that I went to school. I got my degree in accounting and management, and one of my areas of study in accounting was not-for-profit accounting, which is very different. It's got its own kind of set of rules. Everything is a fund, and it's fund administration, not-for-profit accounting. Those 990s are due May 15th. And again, we will be talking about those as we get closer to the November 15th deadline for those that extended. Okay, Tom, let's take that first break. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB, AM 590, FM 100 point, Tom, what is it? 100.5?
100.9.
Oh, that's why they can't find me. 100.9. See, I got to get that. It's 590, 100.9. I only listen to the AM. I guess maybe that's why. We'll be right back.
I want to tell you about another great local business, Forest City Concrete and Grading. Call Sean at 828-447-5949. Sean is a licensed general contractor. He can do your job from site development to completion. That's Forest City Concrete and Grading. Call Sean at 828-447-5949 and tell him Gilbert Talks Taxes sent you.
A good sign is good business. Make your business stand out with a professional sign from Dia Signs and Graphics. Successful companies all over the United States trust the team at Dia Signs and Graphics. With 25 years of professional experience, we have the ability to present your company's image in the best light. Not only display signs, but Dia Signs and Graphics can print banners of all sizes. If you need magnetic signs or window and vehicle graphics, call on Dia Signs and Graphics today. We offer a full line of sign products for any event. 3D, sandblasted, storefront, and monument signs are just a part of a complete selection of quality signage. Professional signs and banners to fit any budget. Let your business stand out. Call Dia Signs and Graphics today at 286-4900 or stop by the sign shop located on Main Street in downtown Spindale and check our website for more suggestions at diasignsandgraphics.com.
We are back. We are back on the air. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes here at WCAB AM 590 FM 100.9, Tom. Those of you live streaming, www.wcab59.com. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. There's a whole list of people that send me emails that they listen to me. David in Asheville, and it just goes on and on. And I want to thank you. And those of you that pick this up later, the WCAB does have this rebroadcast on YouTube, and that is great. I've gotten calls and questions and emails from people that have picked it up online and have gone back and listened to older programs. Thank you very much. I appreciate the comments. And I do have the podcast, the audio, not the video, even though we are recording it. We have the audio online at www.gilberttalkstaxes.com. Go to that page and go to the podcast and listen to those prior shows. Now, where should I? I always show up and I say, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And today's no different. I didn't know. I got up this morning and I had so much I wanted to talk about, but I wasn't sure what direction I was going to go. Let me go ahead and get into this home exclusion, because this has been a thing. The capital gains. I am going to talk about the $87,000
agents that are not going to be hired. Let me say it that way. The 87,000 agents that are not going to be hired. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, and I'm going to talk about a couple other things. But let me talk about capital gains exclusion. So I talked about this last year because it was a real thing last year, and it's gone well into this year. And a lot of people have been selling their homes. I've gotten enough phone calls about this that people are concerned. So the residential real estate market has been surging. It still is surging. Homes are still selling at historically high prices. This is probably the first time in my memory of being in business that I have seen a house in this market. I mean, there are some markets where if you put a house on the market for $500,000 and it gets bid up over $500,000 to $600, $700, whatever, that was the norm. Some markets kind of were known for that. It was like California and not everywhere in California, in some parts, Los Angeles, San Francisco, certain markets that happened. That happened in Denver. That happened in Las Vegas. There was a season in Las Vegas where you didn't just make an offer on the house. You had to bring letters from the bank that you already had the loan. Not just a pre-approval letter, a letter that you had the loan, that you were ready to close. So there were some markets that were that hot, but for most of the rest of the country, you know, you would put your house on the market and you would pray that somebody would come along and offer you something reasonable, or at least kind of resembling what you were asking for it. You know, and then you negotiated and you closed and everybody was happy. Well, in the last couple of years, we've actually had right here in Rutherford County, Polk County, all around us, where you put your house on the market for $250,000 and you'll have 6 bids and you'll sell it for $280,000, $290,000. That has never happened. And it has slowed up, but it's continuing to happen. So people are worried about capital gains. It's because these are considered, these are long. If you lived in the house longer than a year, it's long term. If you live in the house less than a year, it's short term. Capital gains. You do pay taxes on capital gains of your house. Okay, so but thankfully, the federal government gives you a tax exclusion on your principal residence. Okay, we call it your primary residence, your principal residence, and you get an exclusion. If you're single, that exclusion is $250,000 of gain on that house. Okay, if you're married, that tax shelter goes up to $500,000. Now, we used to always say, oh, you'll never hit your exclusion, but that, we can't say that anymore. I've actually had clients this year, sold their homes last year, that actually blew that exclusion out of the water and actually had to pay some capital gains. Not a lot, or the clients I had, not a lot, but there were some people, because these are people that lived in their homes for many, many years. Their cost basis was very low. They now turned around and sold these properties for $600,000 and $700,000 and $800,000. They had a cost basis of maybe $100,000, $150,000, and they made $600,000 of capital gains. So how does that work? And let me back it up. Let's back up, and because we use a lot of language, a lot of times we forget. People don't know what all the words mean. Cost basis. Cost basis is what that house cost you. Okay, that is your basis. You know, think about basic, your basis. So you bought the house for $100,000, just to use round numbers. You did some remodeling to the house. You added whatever. The capital improvements increase your cost basis. Other expenditures, there's a whole laundry list of them, increase that cost basis. So let's say while you had the house, now normal repairs and maintenance do not, but capital improvements, anything to improve the property, increases that basis. So you bought the house for $100,000, you put another $50,000 into it, you've got a house, you got $150,000 into that house. But what happens when you've lived in that house for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years? The appreciation has really been huge. Out west, and I've had some clients from California, from Texas, had a client from Colorado, where the appreciation on their homes has been 300% and 400%. I know, Tom's just like trying to do those numbers in your head. Yeah, 300 or 400%. I've actually had it where it's been 1,000%. I had a person buy a house, and of course this is Colorado market, which has just been crazy. Like some of those big markets, bought a house for $100,000, 12 or 13 years later, sold it for $1 million. But again, where are you going to move? It's like the man said, he's originally from here and moved back here. And he said, I'm glad I had somewhere to go, because every house I was looking at there was $1.2 million. I would have had to have come up with more money just to make, and for him it was pretty much a lateral move. So in this scenario, let's say you sold it for $600,000. Bought it for $100,000, put $50 into it. It's got $150,000 into it. Sold it for $600,000. Married, filing jointly. You've got $450 of gain. That is all tax free to you. Anything under $500,000, 500,000 is tax free to you. Now this only applies to your primary residence. Okay? Primary residence. This is not rental properties. This isn't your second home at the beach. This isn't your condo in Florida. This isn't whatever else you have. This is only your primary residence. Now there are a few little rules there that we need to look at, because they consider your primary residence where you've lived at 2 out of the last 5 years. The reason for that is some people might have rented their home. The buyer needed to get in early, so they rented the home. So there's all kinds of, little subtle things like that. But for the most part, it's where you've been living. It's your primary residence. So if you've got a beach house, a second house, a rental property, you're paying tax on the gain of that house. Also, if you've got rental properties that you're selling and you've been depreciating it on your tax return, remember, you've got to recapture some of that depreciation. And that can actually really create a bump in the tax you got to pay. That's for rental property you've been depreciating. That's why people come to me when we're doing rental property. I always ask them, what are your plans for this rental property? Especially if they just bought it, do you have a buy and flip model you're going to follow? You bought it, you fixed it up, you rented it, you're going to get it rented with a good tenant and then flip it? Or are you going to hold this thing forever? Or, as long as forever is to you, more than 1 year, or more than 3 years, more than 5 years. The reason I ask that question is because to depreciate or not to depreciate. If you're going to have a hold and flip strategy, we may, and again, this isn't for everybody, these are one-on-one conversations, but if you're going to have a buy and flip strategy, we may not want to depreciate it. Okay. Well, what is depreciation? Depreciation is where we take a certain value of the property and you get to expense it to account for the wear and tear on the property. So on rental property, depreciation, 27.9 years or 31 years, 32 years, certain components in that property can be bonus depreciated or Section 179 depreciated. So let's say you put a roof on it. You replace the heating and air conditioning. You replaced all the windows, which who would have thought replacing the windows was a major capital expenditure. I've had people tell me they've spent $30,000 and $40,000 replacing the windows on their homes. The price of those has just gotten outrageous. So you can expense those right away as bonus depreciation. But if you're going to turn around and sell the property right away, we've got to recapture some of that depreciation. So this is a conversation. This isn't black and white. There's a lot of gray in this when you're dealing with rental